So the big issue for me personally with certain things in life is you have great things. You have computers. Computers are awesome. We can all agree that computers are awesome, right? We can agree that from a base level, due to these machines, we're all able to do Notion, whether you're on Mac, whether you're on PC. It's an incredible thing that we have in life. But as Jonathan and I spoke about briefly on his podcast, there are some practices and some things that the Apple side of things is doing that we just can't stand for. For me personally, first thing that comes to mind, I don't know about you, is that I'm a tinkerer, right? I got this PC. I enjoy this PC. It's great. I would like to open this PC if I so choose to advance its level of awesomeness. Now, if I had some sort of insurance, let's say, on it, or care services on it by a certain better tech person, let's say, maybe they would be able to solve the problem from a reputable company, right? If I were to do that on my PC, guess what? I'd still be able to get that service, right? Right?
Yep.
What does Apple do, Jonathan? What does Apple do?
They are a pain in the backside, and just, well, for one, if you can open up a Mac or anything, can edit absolutely anything, you are a tech genius, or you've just looked on Google for iFixit. But
iFixit, that's good.
Like Mac, I understand theoretically why they have such a closed ecosystem, because Macs, no matter how much I love Windows, and I'm on a Windows PC right now, I have both. Mm-hmm. I like both. I have an iPhone. I have a MacBook. And I like the fact that the Mac is very simple and just like it works. Yeah. It's a workhorse. It just gets on with it, unless you have an iOS bug, which we'll get to. But it just works. Whereas a PC, you do have to give it a bit of a love and a little bit of attention, because otherwise it gets a bit upset. Yeah. Whereas with Mac, it's just like, yeah, I won't let you down unless there's a new one that's released every year, and then I'll slowly slow the battery down so that you buy a new one. But that is a whole nother conversation.
That isn't the conversation. But what we're specifically targeting, first of all, is I made a subtle reference to it. If you have Apple Care, right, or something to that effect, and an Apple product, you open that thing, for example, yourself personally. You get an iFixit kit because you think you're cool. Which, if you do have an iFixit kit, you are cool. That's not that. I didn't. No. I didn't mean that as a jab. That just came out wrong. No, like you're thinking you're like having a fun time. That was more the way that was going. Like you think you're gonna be like so cool when you fix your PC and it doesn't go well, which is fine. We've all done these things. We've all done these things on the first test run, and it goes bad. But you know what happens when you have a Windows computer? Someone else fixes it for you if you pay for the service from the company that you originally set out, like, I don't know, whether it's Best Buy or whatever. I mean, I don't know, whatever you got. Probably something else. But if you do that with Apple Care, you know what they say to you? Tough luck, bud. You opened it. And it's like, wait a second. I'm paying for this service. I'm paying to use my product. And I would like to use my product.
And let's just put it out there. They're not exactly the cheapest products in the world.
So let's say you got something that's not working great, and you go to an Apple store, my bad. And you're thinking you're going to go in there and they're going to be so helpful, and sometimes they are, don't get me wrong. I mean, these are some horror stories I'm going to mention, but the horror story seems to be a 70-30 sort of thing towards the horror story from what I've heard from the average person, because anecdotally, that's what it seems to be. I have friends like 70-30 who deal with the issue more than not. They'll go in there, there's a problem with the MacBook generally because it's a laptop. They'll say, oh yeah, the battery's like dunzo. It's going to take $900 to replace it. And my friends go, isn't that like $80 cheaper than buying a new MacBook? And they're like, yeah. Or sometimes it ends up being more expensive, and they go, I guess I'm just buying a new MacBook. Now, they didn't need it because it's just for school. Let's get blunt here. If you got a computer with an SSD, and you have the Microsoft Office suite, you'll get through college. All right? Let's just be blunt, because people don't realize that's how that works. Because they try to get these decked out PCs, and I had a laptop that stopped working almost. I got techie. I got a T5 screwdriver. I opened the back of it. I put in a solid state drive, transferred the stuff. YouTube got me to extend the life of my laptop probably for another couple years, because the hard drive was just not doing well, because that's how hard drives work eventually. And you know what? If I had tried to do that with my MacBook, I would never be able to get service on it. I'd get told, too bad, so sad. I'd have to go to a third party, which I'd rather not go to. I would rather go to the source, because there are such a proprietary type of computer. You know, it's just frustrating, man.
You do realize about the M1, don't you?
You what?
You know the M1, the new MacBooks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck upgrading.
Didn't they change the sockets again? Oh, no, wait, they got, nothing can be, it's all plastered to the motherboard.
It's all built. No, literally the RAM, the CPU,
sodded,
and the
right?
GPU. No, they are one chip.
It's collectively sodded.
Well, it's not even, it just is. It exists.
It's just a block.
It's just one block.
Oh my God. That sounds bad for thermals, though.
Well, the idea being is because, and I have the new M1 MacBook.
Yeah, that's probably good.
It is really good, and it is fast. I didn't bother with the Pro because I saw no point. I'm really fuming it only goes up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, which you cannot upgrade. It is 8 or 16, that's it, because the RAM is literally inside of the bloomin' chip. But it is fast, and it is good, and I like it. But still.
That's frustrating.
I cannot upgrade a thing.
See, that sounds to the average person like not a big issue. And I get some people are like, I don't want to fiddle with my stuff. But at a certain point, it's like a rights to using your product thing, you know? What's the name of the movement that what's his name? Roy Osman or?
Yeah, I think it's Roy something.
Ray Osman, maybe?
Roy.
There's a movement.
Everybody who knows what we're talking about knows.
Yeah, there's a movement that's going on in the Apple community of people trying to make sure that they get their property rights back, or I guess is the way to put it. But there's a sense of, if you buy a product, that does not make it like proprietary to that company anymore because you bought it. So it doesn't really make sense that they can control whether they'll give you service based on the fiddling. Because at some point, it's still going to be the same thing. Like, it's not like everyone's out here pulling a Linus Tech Tips and opening up their iMac and completely messing it up and breaking the screen by accident, whatever, and then Apple getting mad at them because they put it on the internet. And that's not what the average person's doing. So that's
they just want it to last. And the thing is that computing now is going so fast. Like, the things that are happening there are, you've got Chrome, which basically just eats RAM for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh God, man! Don't even try to dream about having anything with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Although I have to say, I don't use Chrome. I use Brave, which is still Chromium, sort of, which is all really clear.
What is it called, please? Okay. So I write it down. And what's it called?
Brave.
All right.
So it's a security.
If you want to see this episode or any other episode of the Rise Productive Podcast, make sure to go and check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you can find podcasts today.